November is Long-Term Care Awareness Month, and this morning I have two guests with me to talk about the importance of looking ahead, both from the health standpoint and from a financial standpoint, because you do need to consider both. I'm happy to have the Reverend Karl Anderson. He's the Vice President for Mission Effectiveness for Masonicare, and Eric Hogarth, who's been here many times, a partner with Johnson Brunetti. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here with us today. Eric, we'll get to you in a second. Reverend, let's start with you just about the importance for thinking ahead. This is something I think a lot of people need to do, but maybe they don't want to do it right now.
Right. The worst time to be trying to find a long-term care placement is when you absolutely need it. You know, you get a call from the hospital discharger saying, okay, it's time, you have to find a place, and then you're looking, okay, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So the idea would be to look around. When you don't need it, find the places that you think might fit your needs, whether it has a continuum of care, whether it has all levels of care, memory care, all of those things which are so important these days when you're thinking about long-term care.
Yeah, is there a little checklist for some of the variables we should be looking at, like the continuum?
Well, what I would do is, first thing I would do is go and visit a facility and look at and see what services they offer. Yeah. The other thing I would do, honestly, would be to go out and then go to a facility and ask for a tour, see what the place looks like, find out, do they have long-term care, do they have assisted living, do they have memory care, what's the continuum of care, what kind of medical care do they offer. All those things are very, very important if you're going to need long-term care, whether it's for rehab or long-term care permanent placement.
Yeah, and of course a big factor of that is finances, insurance, things like that. Eric, that's where you come in. How much does long-term care usually cost? Is there a
so everyone knows a lot,
yeah,
right? And it's all relative to the level of care you're going to be getting, right? A lot of people think, well, I want to stay in my home as long as possible. So how many nurses is that? How many hours a day? And that's potentially enormous cost. And then the different facilities you look at, there's ones that you can buy into scaled care, right? And if you need elevated care, you'll be able to get it in that same place. But it's all relative to the level of care you need. But you have to anticipate it being one of, if not the biggest part of your finances in extended retirement.
Is there a big variability in how much insurance helps to cover this sort of thing?
That's where long-term care insurance, specific long-term care insurance, can be a fantastic tool. But as everyone knows, it's very expensive. So the key thing is that you have to anticipate that exposure and plan for it. That doesn't necessarily mean buying long-term care, but just thinking, well, I'm healthy and it's never going to happen is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because by the time you have to deal with it, it might be too late. And you might then just pay everything you've ever saved to that exposure.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So what's the best way to try to make the whole process easier if you're trying to get ahead of it?
Is to address it earlier,
yeah,
right? Because you're either going to be gifting things away, putting things in your kid's name, buying long-term care, using the estate planning method. You have a lot of options, but the older you get, the longer you wait, procrastinate, you have less options.
Yeah. Is there any one takeaway other than get started earlier, Reverend, that you want people to know about how to start that ball rolling, especially if it's a loved one that you have to look at, not even for yourself?
Yeah, I would get educated. Think about what is out there. What is the difference between assisted living? What is the difference between short-term care? Assisted living is less expensive than long-term care, and all those kinds of things. So be educated. Look at the facilities around. Look at the organizations around, profit versus non-for-profit, and think about what your needs are and make sure they can fulfill them.
Okay, and I'm sure, yeah, Masonicare, of course, on the forefront of that. Thank you so much, Eric, too, for being here. Gentlemen,
Absolutely.
a pleasure to meet you
Thank
both.
You very much.
Glad
Thanks
to have
very much.
you here with us. And as part of Long-Term Care Planning Month, we hope that helps, certainly.